Today, are the rats leaving Sydney's sinking ship? Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, one that is post covering finance and property news. Well, Sydney is at risk of becoming the city with no grandchildren, a senior government official has warned, as high housing costs drive young families to leave. The state capital losing twice as many people aged 30 to 40 as it gains, according to a paper by the New South Wales Productivity Commission. If we don't act, we could become a city with no grandchildren, the agency commissioner Peter Achterstraat said. The Productivity Commission found that Sydney lost about 35,000 people aged 30 to 40 between 2016 and 2021. The exodus of that group is a problem, according to the report, because people in that age range are among the most productive in the workforce. They've generally completed their training and they've had 10 or more years experience, and the majority are tech savvy, the report said. If these productive workers leave Sydney, then it means the rest of us who stay here are going to have to work a little bit harder to produce the same level of goods and services. The Productivity Commission blames Sydney's high housing prices on a lack of supply. In fact, in the past two papers, the Commission made the case for boosting higher density closer to the city in areas where people want to live and where infrastructure costs less. But in its latest report, it found that a quarter of residential zoned land within 10 kilometres of the CBD is subject to heritage protection, restricting redevelopment. Entire suburbs have been declared heritage conservation areas by some councils. Those places include Haberfield and Balmain in the inner west, Elizabeth Bay and Paddington in the eastern suburbs, and Cremorne Point on the North Shore. The report argues that the value of architectural heritage ought to be balanced with the value of renewal, diversity and vibrancy, and the Commission is calling for a review of heritage protections in areas where the restrictions are widespread. Where are those gems that you really want to preserve, he asked. There may be a rundown shop or other sorts of things which probably doesn't fit into the category of heritage. And he says experts should be brought in to determine whether some places deemed heritage could be more appropriately used to house people who want to live in the area. It would be lovely if more people could live closer to the heritage so that they can benefit from it and visit it more often. But this demographic issue that they're talking about is extremely significant. Where do people go? Well, they go to regional Australia and, of course, specifically to Queensland. And that puts more pressure up there too. So in a way, it moves the problem from Sydney, but it also leaves Sydney with a bigger headache, not enough people to do the things that need to be done. This is, again, the social consequences of 20 years plus of bad planning, bad policy, and, frankly, politicians who don't seem to really care about people. This needs to change. It needs to change quickly, but will it? I suspect not. I suspect we are going to see high rise in areas where people can afford to spend a little less. But in some of those other areas, the more affluent areas, this is going to be a significant issue because building will not be allowed in those areas. So they're moving the problem around, but not solving the problem. And if more people do leave Sydney of prime working age, then that creates a hangover for the next generation plus. But I also want to make a broader point, and that is, of course, that the Productivity Commission in its report doesn't talk about migration. What's causing the demand in the first place? So they have been captured once again by myopic thinking at best, or maybe by powers at worst, because they're not being honest with people in Sydney and New South Wales. The underlying cause of the problem is too high migration, too many people, too much demand, and then, of course, they flip it over to supply-side discussions. The truth is, supply side is a response to a bigger problem, and that bigger problem is too high migration. But who is really going to want to tackle this? Well, so far, a lot of lip service, but not a lot more than that. Now, if you're buying your home in Sydney's contentious market, you don't need to stand alone. This is the time you need to have Edwin Almeida from Ribbon Property Consultants standing alongside you. Buying a property is both challenging and adversarial. The vendor has a professional on their side. Emotions run high, price discovery and price transparency are hard to find, and then there's the wasted time and financial investments that you make. Edwin understands your needs, so why not engage a licensed professional to stand alongside you? With RPC, you know you have experience, knowledge, and master negotiators looking after your best interests. So shoot Ribbon an email at info@ribbonproperty.com.au, and if you use the promo code DFAWTW/Martin, you can get a 10% discount offer. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.